Hey guys, what's up? This is Sonic Soul here, and I just wanted to make another video of Devil May Cry 5. I've really been enjoying the game. I recently beat it, and I'm just playing on Mission 13, playing co-op with people, and I'm aiming to do Son of Sparta and Dante Must Die mode at some point, and just get more stuff on the channel for you guys, along with streaming the game, of course. So, you know, definitely subscribe to the channel. Go on my Twitch, twitch.tv/Sonic_Soul. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more Devil May Cry stuff, and I'm still going to be doing some Street Fighter stuff. That being said, I got a lot of questions on Twitter and some questions on my YouTube channel about using this thing in Devil May Cry 5. So you can definitely use an arcade stick in Devil May Cry 5 for 2 of the 3 characters. And there's some things that you gotta know about it that I'm gonna just answer real quick. Some quality of life stuff that people had asked me. And I'm just gonna go over what I do on arcade stick and how I use this thing and how I map my buttons and stuff. So yeah, one of my favorite things about this game, by the way, is the Void. The Void is basically like a fighting game training mode in a sense for Devil May Cry, and it's funny because Itsuno made a lot of the Street Fighter series games like Street Fighter Alpha and Street Fighter 3. He also made Darkstalkers and Capcom vs. SNK 1 and 2 in terms of just helping with, you know, development and stuff. So overall, right, like, you can see that design in Devil May Cry 5 as well, and in all the Devil May Cry games. That sense of exploration and just finding combos and tech. You know, I'm a tech monster in fighting games as well, and that's why I love this game. That's why I love the series. Basically, you can play as V and Nero on arcade stick. Dante, I highly would recommend not doing so. And that being said, this is not like recommended to play Devil May Cry 5. You do not need a fight stick or to buy a fight stick to play DMC5. It was intended to be played on pad. I'm only playing this on fight stick because I'm trying to meme around and just fool around and be stupid, right? But you can play on whatever I'm just showing you this because you can play on whatever you want, and that's the point. Essentially speaking, V is like the basic of the 3. You have no remapping to do, because all of his buttons are on the face buttons. That being said, you don't have to like change anything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Void, and I'm going to show you guys, you know, some quality of life answers to your quality of life questions. So one of the main questions I got from a lot of people when I was streaming the game and when I was just like uploading stuff to YouTube was, oh, how do you control the camera? You can't control the camera with the stick that you have. Well, obviously I have to switch the mode, right, in order to control one aspect of my controller in terms of movement. I don't have free control of my camera. What I do instead is I use the lock-on button. The lock-on button will always focus on the enemy that you're locked onto. The camera will always focus on whatever you're locked onto. So you can use that to kind of control the camera. And when you're not locked onto an enemy, the camera will automatically center itself on the player character, right? You don't have free control of the camera, but you can use your lock-on button at any time to center the camera to the enemy you're fighting. Now, with that being said, don't die on me, V. Basically, you have access to all your abilities with V without having to change anything. So, square is to shoot with your Griffin, or do other stuff with Griffin. Triangle is Shadow. X is to jump. Circle is your cane. R2 is to read your book and build DT.
To see a world
combo.
Wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour.
But as you can see, you can still do all of that. You can call Nightmare.
Enjoy the taste of despair. Nightmare or death, or both.
Now we're Zangief. Another Zangief move, by the way, spinning pile driver, or SPD. You have to perform with a 360. That's his Royal Cross, or Royal Crown. I think that's what it is. But you have to perform a 360 for that. The auto assist, you can still tie it on with L2. No, and it just works out. You can play V on it. You can play V. You can definitely play V on arcade stick. It's like no issue, no problem whatsoever. Next up, we're gonna talk about Nero. Alright, so Nero's kind of an odd case because there's 2 different versions of Nero. Pre-game Nero and post-game Nero. Pre-game, for lack of a better word, by the way, right? basically before you finished mission 20, right, you didn't have spoilers, the Devil Trigger and Devil Bringer options, but now you do, right? So you can still play Nero without them, and that's what you did for the majority of the game. But on mission 20, I was flabbergasted. Oh no! It's a directional input? I've practiced so long, so hard, and you're telling me the Devil Trigger is tied to the D-pad? No! No! I was playing with Nero on arcade stick the whole time, and I was like, yo, I need to act. It's a requirement to activate Devil Trigger in the mission against Virgil. So, you know, I had to figure out a way to do it. I didn't do it on stream, obviously, but I had to switch my Exceed button with my Devil Trigger button. But I'll show you, right? So you can map your buttons out to whatever way, you know, makes you feel comfortable. This is the way that I use it, and it kind of makes sense for where my hand is positioned and where buttons are. So basically, my triangle button is my melee attack, my gun button is square, my X button is to jump. So far, default buttons, right? But then you notice my circle button is literally breakaway. It's not even like my Devil Breaker, right? It's not my robotic arm. It's actually me breaking my robotic arm. So you're like, whoa, what? And then, you know, R1 is obviously to lock on. L1 becomes what circle was. So L1 becomes the Devil Breaker. Devil Bringer becomes L2. I think on default it's R2, right? And then for my Exceed, I made that R2, right? And R2 used to be my Devil Bringer, as I said before. So then you have my Devil Trigger. So my Devil Trigger is right here. It's my D-pad, right? So you may be wondering, well, you know, how are you going to activate Devil Trigger if you need the D-pad to do it? Don't you have to go through that whole mode thing in order to, like, activate? Well, this is what I did, right? I went into my system settings, right, for my PS4, went to accessibility, button assignments, button assignments, customize button assignments, and I made L3 my directional input. L3 is to change targets for your lock on. You're not going to really be doing that all too much. You're going to really need R3 to center the camera, but I made L3 my Devil Trigger button instead, or my D-pad button. So if I press L3, I activate Devil Trigger. So yeah, Nero overall can still be played on arcade stick quite well. I'm just going to show you a combo that you've probably seen like a dozen times from me already, but I just want to show it with the stick camera on so you can see that it's even possible to do on arcade stick. Granted, I'm trying to incorporate Devil Trigger with it. I don't really know what I'm doing with Devil Trigger at that point, so please don't criticize me there on my stylishness there. As you can see, you can still use like arcade stick with Nero very well. It's kind of like hard at first. I'm still trying to learn how to use Devil Trigger properly and like actually, you know, activate and stuff and not end up switching the mode. So it's, your muscle memory is gonna have to get used to it, but it definitely works with Nero. You can definitely make it happen. So as you can see, Nero is still very fun to play, right? It's still very fun to play on arcade stick. Right? So, yeah. I guess the last thing we could do is kind of like talk briefly about Dante. So Dante, unfortunately, like the other two, are a little bit of it's a little bit depressing to play as Dante on arcade stick because you can't really do too much. You're kind of restricted because you can't switch styles. It's not like Nero where you just have to press, you know, a button on the D-pad to activate. You actually need all 4 of your styles, which require the D-pad, and that requires you to switch using the mode button. So you can't, unless you can really like move between those things and then switch the style and then immediately switch back. I don't know, it kind of just seems impossible, right? You can still do basic stuff, right? You can still, you know, use your weapons. You can still jump cancel. You can still switch weapons, right? I haven't played too much with Dante on stick because I don't want to like nerf myself too much. But you can still use him. Right? So basically my controller for Dante is on default still. My controller on Dante is still on default, right? So square is to shoot, right? Triangle is your melee weapon. X is to jump, right? Circle is your style button. In this case, I have it on Sword Master. R1 is to lock on. R2 is to switch your melee weapon. L2 is to switch your guns. And obviously, L1 is your double trigger. So, you know, all in all, Dante's controllers are still the same for arcade stick, but you can kind of switch it around to your preference. I'm sure, you know, with enough people who might think of trying to play this game on arcade stick, they might try to find something with Dante and try and use him. But yeah, that's gonna wrap it up for this video overall. You know, I'm sorry I can't give you like a Dante arcade stick combo, unfortunately, but I think like Nero and V are really good to play with on arcade stick. It's really fun, and it kind of reminds me of fighting games with those two characters. Definitely leave a like down below if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to find out some more Devil May Cry stuff and some fighting game nonsense like Street Fighter, especially because I stream that a lot on twitch.tv/Sonic_Soul, along with Devil May Cry, which I've been playing a lot more. So yeah, definitely follow me up. And yeah, see you guys next video. Thanks for watching.